All right, Chris. Chris, so where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Uh, I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia. I grew up in a place called Fall River, Massachusetts.
How would you describe your childhood?
It was okay when I was a lot younger. Uh, Maybe up till I was 5, 6 years old. My parents got divorced, and my mother, started seeing these different men, and she got remarried to abusive. It was abusive relationship, I remember, and they used to go out drinking a lot and come home, and my stepfather at the time, you know, he would take all his anger out on me, and that caused me to keep running away from home. And so I turned to the streets at a very young age. Started getting into selling drugs at a young age. And then at 15, I was finding myself with a needle in my arm shooting heroin.
This was all in Boston.
Yes. And so I was constantly in and out of jail, in and out of county growing up. I dropped out of school. My dad, he thought it was wise for me to go work on a fishing boat. If I didn't want to go to school, that's what I had to do. And so I did that, and he regrets it because at that age, I was making a lot of money, and I also turned into a heroin addict.
There's a lot of drugs on the fishing boats, right?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
And so at that age, I was working with grown men, and so I grew up pretty quick, and I learned a lot about life at a young age.
How far did you go in school?
I dropped out in my freshman year.
And after the fishing
Uh,
jobs, you
I
how long did you do that?
I did that for about 5 years, and it's you work in seasons, so it wasn't like a total of 5 years. It was seasons,
Right. And when you weren't working,
5 seasons. I
when you
was
were
going out 3 months at a time.
when you weren't out in the water, what were you up to?
I was scalloping. Yep. So, I just every time I came into shore, I had a pocket full of money, and I didn't know what else to do with it but go to strip clubs and get high, get drunk. And I never really had any good role models in my life growing up. So I just turned to the streets at a very young age. Started getting in trouble with the law. Been in prison. Seen a lot of bad stuff happening.
How old are you now?
Right now, I'm 40,
You're 40.
and yeah. Since I mean, my life constantly gets worse and worse and worse. It seems like as I get older. Just last year, I've gotten stabbed 3 times in Hollywood. I've been shot at. I was never in gangs. I always hung around them. People that were affiliated. Hung around a lot of organized crime growing up.
Yeah, in Boston, there's a lot of that.
So I got really close friends that are, they know Whitey Bulger. So growing up, he was a big influence in my life. I looked up to him. So
Heroin's been part of your life
yes.
all along.
Well, I got about 3 years clean now off heroin, but I'm battling with other addictions.
Fentanyl.
No, not fentanyl. I've done fentanyl a couple times out here, and each time I OD'd, flatline dead, And there was 2 times where I was so pissed off that they brought me back at the hospital. I went out, got the same fentanyl, and OD'd again. Like I wanted to die,
Really?
Because the life out here in the streets, it's definitely not fun. It's no picnic. Especially when you're not from California,
What is your drug now?
My drug is crystal meth
Crystal meth.
and hookers.
Would you call yourself a sex addict as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've never really had sex for money, but to get high, you know?
So the drug addiction drives the sex addiction, you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Crystal meth will do that to some people.
Yeah. I've gotten paid to make movies, and you know, I've grown up doing a lot of ecstasy, uh, Special K. I was into clubs, raves, and it's got me nowhere, in life.
So when you say sex for money, you're also making money,
I was pretty much, I guess, escorting myself.
right?
You know,
This is with male clients or
no, female clients.
female clients.
Yeah.
So women will pay you for sex.
Yes. Yes.
That's a lot of guys' fantasy, I think.
Yeah, but these women weren't always dime pieces either. I just had an addiction to feed all the time.
So the money would pay for your drugs.
Yes, and I also had a gambling addiction.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, I like to gamble. And every day on these streets out here, I gamble my life. And it's kind of an addiction, the lifestyle, 'Cause I lived it for so long.
Just the danger of living down here?
Yes, it's just, I don't enjoy it, but I don't enjoy the danger, but I enjoy the everyday living of it, because you don't know what you're going to get into. You don't know what's going to happen. It's just about taking chances.
Yeah, the adrenaline.
Yes. And so I did the recovery thing down in Delray Beach, Florida. And with that brought me into a different world. I was clean for a little bit, but I could never stay clean for more than a year. And what happened was, I was just in and out of flop houses, which are sober houses that you don't really have to be sober to be there. Just having an insurance policy, and as long as you have that insurance policy, you could stay. But once it runs out, they're kicking you out. And they're just called flop houses, and they're all over Delray Beach. And so I've been in several of those. I worked for treatment while using drugs. I did the whole insurance thing with getting people insurance policies and, cashing them in, And so I was doing that. I was doing a lot of telemarketing. I got hit by a car in Pompano Beach, Florida, and got a rod put in my right leg. And so that right there gave me the green light to pass to get oxycodone. So I was going to different pain clinics all through Florida each day and getting pills, and I was selling them. Well, I sold pills to a confidential informant, which landed me in prison. My first offer was 30 years. I got a lawyer, and I beat that. The reason why it was 30 years was because it was armed trafficking. My co-defendant confessed up to the pistol charge, and I took the pill charge, and that's what got me 3 years. Just all my life, it's been nothing but chaos, running from the cops, running from the law. I just could never seem to get it right. As much as I do want to and try, something always gets in the way, and I just fall.
What do you suspect the core of that is? What the cause of it all is?
Well, first of all, it's got something to do with my mentality, the way I carry myself, my addiction. It's not easy being an addict and being homeless.
Yeah. The homelessness makes it stressful.
Yes. And there's times where I choose to get high than eat food, I'll be so hungry. I just rather get high because it numbs everything for me, It takes me out of my body,
And then whether it's a sex addiction, gambling addiction, drug addiction,
it's all
alcohol,
the same.
It's all the same.
Yes, it's all the same. And so I remember when I was 14 years old, I was just coming home from school, and my neighbor, which was my best childhood friend, had shot himself. That played a big part in my life, you know. To this day, I remember hearing the gunshots.
He died?
Yes,
It was intentional?
yes. He left a note
Oh, wow.
to his family. And, you know, that played a big part of my life because, you know, me and him, we grew up with each other. We played Little League, hockey. You know, we just did childhood, what kids do when they're kids, you know? And so it's just all growing up. It's just being in and out of county, in and out of county.
How much prison time have you done in your life?
Well, I've been to prison twice, but I did a lot of county time.
So jail and prison.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Today I'm just trying to, you know, pick up my life, which is going okay now. I'm doing a lot better with a lot of things in my life. I'm learning how to deal with a lot of shit without having to use violence. When I was growing up, I had a really bad temper. I was always getting into fights. I had, you know, issues with the cops. I never got along with the law. I worked for a lot of underground gambling spots. You know, I remember, you know, being 12 years old, I got handed a bag and said, do not open it. And it had a lock on it. And this was my first assignment. And I didn't realize what was going on at that age. I was just told to bring it to somebody, to not open it, and I'll get paid. And so I did. And so with that being said, I got paid $5,000. But that $5,000 came with a lot of other shit that I had to do. You know? So it was a lifestyle I couldn't get out of as much as I tried. So what I did was I kept running away from my home area so that way I could escape from that life.
This was the mob related stuff?
Yes.
In Boston?
And so every time I went back home to visit family, I would get drugged right back in, got my ass beat, have sit downs. And at that time, my uncle and my aunt, they were in a motorcycle gang. And so I would always get into trouble and have these sit downs with these bikers, get slapped around a few times. And that was my punishment for every time I got into trouble when I was younger. And, you know, I didn't know nothing about crystal meth till I came out here to California. Back home, it was just all about heroin and fentanyl. And oxys and roxys, which is why, you know, I went to prison. I was really bad with opiates, really bad. I just didn't know what to do anymore. I thought that was gonna turn out to be my life, that I would have to depend on every day, being dope sick. How am I gonna get it? You know? That's definitely something I do not miss.
Did crystal meth help you get off of heroin?
Crystal meth, I didn't do crystal meth till I came out here to California. No, I got off heroin through the methadone clinic back home. And then when I got into my accident, I got a rod put in my right leg. I was prescribed oxycodone down in Florida. And I was going to all the pain clinics, different ones each day with my MRI paperwork, and they write me out a script. So I was getting all these pills, Dilaudids, oxys, roxys, and I was selling them. Well, how I went to prison was I sold pills to a confidential informant, which was a friend of mine's girlfriend. And she set me up and landed me in prison. So I did my time. And, you know, the first offer was 30 years. they weren't coming off it until my co-defendant took the pistol charge and I took the pill charge. And he got 5 and I got 3.5. Time served, you know.
What emotions do you go through?
I've always been depressed as a kid growing up. So I'm still dealing with a lot of depression. At times, I don't care if I live or die because I don't know how to live like a normal human being, you know? What I consider living, most people wouldn't, you know? And I've always just wanted to try to live like a human being and just have a chance. And I was just never really given an opportunity, you know? For the longest, I've been trying to get a hold of my son. He's 18 right now, and I can't get a hold of him. And it hurts, you know? It really does. Because every time I go to contact the mother, she won't tell me nothing.
Have you been in your son's life?
I was when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I started getting locked up and go to prison and, you know, living the life of a drug addict, that all stopped. And growing up, you know, it was always about my dad coming to pick me and my sister up for the weekends for visitation and being dropped off on a Sunday night. Well, that Sunday night was the beginning of hell for the week, because by that time my mother would be drunk, either getting beat up by her boyfriend or husband at the time. And that's what had me at a young age start running away from home and turning to the streets.
Do you think that childhood environment that you grew up with kind of set the tone for everything you're going through now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of different states, did a lot of traveling, lived on the streets in a lot of different states, from Florida to Texas to Jersey to New York, you know, out here in California, San Diego, Hollywood. You know, I've even been up to, you know, the mountains. And no matter where I go, I bring myself. And I gotta realize that, you know, wherever I go, I'm gonna always be there. I can't run from me. And it's taken me all these years to realize that.
Do you have regrets in your life?
I have a lot of regrets. A lot of them. You know, a lot of them. For example, one of them would be not being there so much for my son as he's grown up. To not being there so much for my family as they needed me. You know, being there for my sister as she's grown up. I've always felt horrible, and all this guilt built up inside me where it just, drugs made it so much better for me. You know, it numbed me. But I was always temporary. So I just always had to continue getting high. And by all means, I needed to get high, I would get high.
Does it getting high give you an escape from?
Yes, and it makes me more sociable. Mm-hmm. It makes me at ease a little bit. I deal with a lot of depression, so it helps my depression a lot. The life that I've been living over the years, it's not a life for anybody. You know, I mean, since I've been out here to California, I've been stabbed, been shot at, you know, all just for being in the wrong places at the wrong time. You know, I've always had this passion on, being a producer and making beats. And it's just, I used to go to the studio all the time just to hang out and just to learn. And, once, family members found out what I was doing, who I was hanging out with, they put a stop to that, But that's what they don't know is that that's what kept me out of trouble most of the time. And so I lost that passion, I was very athletic growing up. I was playing baseball and ice hockey. I've been on an all-star team quite a few times for baseball. Been in a lot of tournaments for hockey in Canada, Montreal. What's crazy, I used to run away from home. I did this like 3 times and joined carnivals.
Really?
And travel state to state. Living on the road,
So you were a carny for a while?
Yes. And that's the kind of excitement that I like, And this was back in the 90s. You don't see too much of that these days.
Right. And the drug addiction goes hand in hand with that lifestyle.
Yes. I mean, there was times where, I'll be on the road hanging out at truck stops, just trying to get to the next state because I know that's where there's going to be a big carnival and I needed to get there to work. So I'd get rides by truckers, I'd hitchhike, I've been to a lot of states. My goal is to actually go to all 50 states.
What's been the craziest thing you've gone through in your
craziest
life
thing
on the streets?
Me getting stabbed. I got stabbed over, I don't know, on Sunset by the Triangle. And I just remember my shirt just turning red and my intestines and my insides just hanging out. And me going up to cars at the light, banging on the windows and asking for help. And they were just driving around me. Like I didn't even exist. And I guess I got found on Sunset Boulevard, pretty much dead. I just remember waking up in the hospital, not really knowing what happened. And I was told what happened. And I was told I was stitched up, that I was going to be okay. I flipped out. I said, I'm in a lot of pain. I need some morphine right now. And they wouldn't give it to me. So I demolished the whole room, the emergency room. The cops came restraining me. And I got my morphine after all. And here I go again, back on the pills. Started doing heroin again. And, it's just not a life for anybody. It really isn't.
What do you worry about? What are you afraid of?
Living. I don't know how to live normal. I've seen so much and been through so much and dealt with so many different personalities. I can't trust nobody. Trust is a very big issue with me. My past haunts me all the time. When I close my eyes at night, I can't sleep. I think about my life too much. Because I don't know when I'm gonna go, when's gonna be my time. It's like, as much as I try to do right, something just pulls me down. I really want to change, but I just don't know how.
Do you feel like you're self-destructive?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just feel like I have to accept this life, you know? And I've accepted it a long time ago. I came, to believe that there is no changing me. I could move to a different state. I've tried that several times. I bring myself wherever I go. I think the happiest time in my life was when I first got off heroin. I was living in a halfway house in Florida, and what happened was I became a halfway house manager. I was doing good. I relapsed. Long story short, I ended up back on the streets. Well, how I came out to California was through a friend of mine. His name's Billy, and he got me into a program. Told me I needed to get out of Florida, come here. He'll have everything set up, which he did. Well, I went to that program and started working for the place as a worker, and it got raided by the feds. They were doing body brokering and insurance fraud. And so that left me on the streets of LA. And I've been on the streets ever since, on and off. I just got approved for my housing. I'm looking to go back to school and just to try to change my life.
That's great. Chris, what would you say is the most important lesson you learned in all of this?
Can't trust everybody. Just because they say they'll ride with you and they'll have your back, most of the time, they're just talking shit. Nobody's gonna be there for you like your family would, And I never really understood that when I was younger,
All right, Chris, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck out there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.